I'm Jennifer Moore, and today I'm inside Silver Efex Pro 2, and I'm going to use the zone system inside Silver Efex to be able to bring out a little life in this washed out black and white image. I've already selected a preset, so we're going to go ahead and hide that panel and give ourselves more room to work with. Now, in looking at this photo, I really see that the harsh shadows and bright highlights from the late afternoon time have washed out a lot of the range in the center, so it looks really flat and uninspiring. So I want to go down into the loop and histogram area, and we're going to click the histogram button. And we'll see that the histogram is very heavily weighted to the left side. But you're also going to notice down here at the bottom all of the numbers from 0 to 10. What those numbers represent is the zone system as implemented inside Silver Efex. The zone system was created by Ansel Adams and Fred Archer as a way for black and white photographers to make sure that they were covering as many tones as possible with just their black and white. So anything you see in the zone system that is a solid 0 would actually be printed in pure ink on the paper, so there wouldn't be any detail there, but it'd be a great reference point for your eye. Over at the number 10, you have the opposite extreme. So if you were to print this image, it would just be paper, no ink at all. So again, a good reference point, but not a lot of detail. What we want to make sure we have happen in our image is we want to have a little bit of 0 and a little bit of 10, and enough information in the 8-9 area and the 1-2 area that we have a full range going on with a lot of complexity to it. Now, you might have noticed as we hover over the numbers that the parts of the image that correspond to that zone conveniently light up for us. And so by looking at this, we can see that in zone 8, we have a whole lot of detail in the sign that's being carried in the back. In zone 9, we have a little bit going on in the light, and in zone 10, we have a little more in the light and also on a poster board. So I'm okay with having that in zone 10, but 9's pretty wimpy, so I think we want to try and move some of the detail from zone 8 into zone 9. On the other end of the spectrum, you'll see we don't have anything in zone 0 or in zone 1. But when we look at zone 2, we have a lot of information, so we want to try and push some of those details down into zones 1 and 0. To make this easier for us, I'm going to click zone 0, as well as zone 10 and zone 9. What this does is it will show any changes in those little stripes in the image as we adjust, so we don't have to keep looking down and hovering over the histogram to see if we're doing the job right. Now, if you're like me, when you come into Silver Efex, you just see brightness, contrast, and structure. And we can make some big changes with those, but we'll have better luck if we actually expand each section. Inside, you'll see sub-sliders that let you control more evenly what's happening there. So the first thing I want to try and do is recover some of those dark colors, and a great way to start doing that is to amplify our blacks. So we're going to start with that slider, and we're just going to move it up and probably a good bit. So you'll see the whole image is darkening as we do that, and we're going to get up to around 42%. I'm not sure I want to go much further. I don't want the whole image to go there, so let's also try making our shadows even darker and see if that helps. We should soon start seeing a little bit of yellow pop into that left edge. There we go. So that's just enough that we have the good reference point, but it's also not such a big chunk that it would hurt for us to lose detail in those little areas. Now we want to do the same thing by amplifying our whites and probably our highlights. We'll start with the whites. And you'll see we're starting already to get some of that information into the sign. So let's also just go and touch the highlights just a little bit. So already we've got a much more dynamic image without doing anything else. Now, if you're concerned about losing too much detail or having a very left-sided histogram, you can also use the dynamic brightness slider to make some changes. What dynamic brightness does is it tends to leave your white point and your black point alone, and it just moves around everything in the middle. So if we slide this to the right, you should see a little bit of a shift in the histogram that makes it a little more balanced. And if you're worried about the structure or the details that you're getting in those areas, let's go down to the structure section. Structure is clarity, and it's clarity that's applied just in these tone ranges. So, for example, if we turn up the structure in our midtones, then suddenly all of that area in the center around their clothing starts to get a little more detail. So you might also want to turn up the structure in our shadows area as well. You'll see as we do that, because it's taking more of that area in zone 2 and pushing it down into zone 1, that we start to get more even in zone 0. So it also helps stretch things out just a little bit. Now, I'm pretty happy with the range of tones we have now. I'm going to go ahead and turn these off, take a nice look at that. And I think I'm at a point where I'm ready to move into fine adjustments with other tools like control points. So I think for now we've probably gotten as much as we can out of that zone system in the histogram, and we can go on and edit other things. But remember, it's a great way to make sure you've got the whole range covered, so try to use it every time you're adjusting a black and white image. Thanks.